Once upon a time, in a kingdom far away, there lived a humble miller and his beautiful daughter. The miller was a hard-working man, respected by all who knew him, but he wasn't wealthy. His daughter, though, was known throughout the land for her beauty and grace. One day, the miller was invited to the king's castle for a grand feast. Excited by the prospect of meeting the king, the miller boasted to the royal chef that his daughter could turn straw into gold. Intrigued, the chef took the claim to the king. Now, you know how kings are, always wanting more and more, especially if it means more gold. King Bartholomew I, who was greedy and always in search of wealth, called the miller's daughter to the palace and ordered her to spin an entire room full of straw into gold by morning. He promised her a noble title and the hand of a prince in marriage if she succeeded, but if she failed, she would be thrown into prison. The miller's daughter was both terrified and confused. She had never turned straw into gold before. How could she possibly do it in just one night? Locked in a large room full of straw, she sat in the middle, completely helpless and in despair. She thought about her father Espost and knew she had to somehow turn the straw into gold, or her dad would get into serious trouble. She closed her eyes and started thinking of a way out of this mess, when suddenly she heard a strange voice. "What will you give me if I spin this straw into gold for you?" She opened her eyes to see a strange little man standing in front of her. He had a long, crooked nose, and his clothes were old and tattered. The miller's daughter was scared at first, but desperate for a solution. She promised him her necklace in exchange for his help. The little man took the necklace and got to work. He spun the straw into gold, filling the entire room until every bit of straw had been transformed. When the king entered the room the next morning, he was astonished to see the room full of gold. But he was greedy, though, and demanded that the miller's daughter spin even more straw into gold that night. If she did, he'd set her free. That evening, the miller's daughter was once again locked in a room full of straw. Once again, the little man appeared and asked what she would give him in exchange for his help. This time, the miller's daughter had only her ring left, and she offered it to him. The little man took the ring and spun the straw into gold once more. The king was very impressed. He ordered her to spin an even larger room full of straw into gold the next night, but this time the miller's daughter had nothing left to give. When the little man appeared again, the miller's daughter, now desperate, promised him whatever she would have in the future. The little man agreed, and once again he spun the straw into gold. The king was overjoyed with the gold, and summoned the miller's daughter to his throne room the next morning, and offered to marry her. Reluctantly, she agreed. Deep down, she felt bad for agreeing to marry the king so hastily, but she was still hopeful that the strange little man's promise would remain forgotten. However, as the months passed, the miller's daughter gave birth to a child. One day, the little man appeared again in the nursery, demanding that she keep her promise. "I will release your child, if you can guess my name within 3 days," he said. The miller's daughter was terrified of losing her child, and begged him to spare her. The little man saw how upset she was, and decided to give her a chance. He said, "I want to see if you are as smart as they say. I will release your child if you can guess my name." The miller's daughter spent the first day asking everyone in the kingdom, but no one knew the answer. On the second day, she searched far and wide, but her efforts were in vain. Desperate to save her child, the miller's daughter went to the forest on the third day. As she walked, she heard the sound of a small voice singing, "Today I bake, tomorrow I brew, the next I'll have the child, too. No one knows my name, but I do, Rumpelstiltskin. That's who." The sound of the voice faded into the trees, and the miller's daughter realized that the little man had revealed his name in his song. Filled with confidence, she went to the little man that evening and announced, I know your name. It's Rumpelstiltskin." The little man, furious and shocked that she had guessed correctly, vanished in a fit of rage, never to be seen again. The miller's daughter was free, and her child was spared. She and the king lived happily ever after, ruling the kingdom with wisdom and kindness. Moral of the story: never make promises in haste or desperation, for they may come with unexpected consequences. Also, it teaches us that cleverness and perseverance can overcome even the most difficult challenges.